Another Dooley Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, and welcome into another Dooley Noted Podcast. Of course, as always, presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. We'll have Coach Spurrier on a little bit later today. Just to let you know, we're taping this on Thursday, airing it on Friday. The reason we're taping it a day early is because I'm going on vacation. I'm fired up. I need it. I don't think I've had a real vacation since I retired, which is when you retire, you're supposed to be on vacation all the time, right? Anyway, but I'm weird on vacation because I guarantee you after day 3, I'll be going. Maybe I'll just go back. You know, I'm ready to go. I think for me, vacation is to be in my recliner, watching my TVs, multiple TVs. And there's a lot to watch, and we'll get to that a little bit later with the Hesser and Kipke games of the weekend. So we'll have Coach Spurrier on in a little while. Let's get to our Friday Fivesome. Again, still looking for a sponsor for the Friday Fivesome. And thought we had one, but we didn't. All right. Let us start out with the number one story. And again, this is on Thursday, just to remind you. But today, or I should say yesterday, but if you're listening to it on Saturday, you would go 2 days ago. Anyway, Mick Hubert announces his retirement. He walked into the offices on Monday and told them, hey, I've decided this is it. I'm done. In fact, the South Carolina series is my last series, and I'm walking away. He's bought a house in Sarasota. Clearly, this is something he'd been thinking about. I have talked to Mick many times about retirement. And the reason is because I was curious. I was always curious when he was, because Mick's always, he's in good shape and everything, but it's hard to tell how old he is. He's 68, and it makes sense. He beat me by a year. He lasted a year longer than I did. So look, Mick's always been great to deal with. A legend, really is a legend. And we'll talk more about him a little bit later with Coach Spurrier. There's no question about that. And I've got something in this, that, and the other also about Mick as well. But, you can't help but think about the replacements, who might replace him. And look, I know that Jeff Cardozo and James Bates probably both want that job. I mean, they have told me in the past they do. I haven't talked to them about it today, but in the past, I obviously Jeff does so much stuff over there for the university between Gator Vision and baseball and all that. James Bates is great doing. He's done play-by-play. He's got the experience of doing football play-by-play, and he does have the football cachet as well. I can give you a couple other possible candidates. Mike Morgan, who went to school at the University of Florida, and I know he wants a job, who now is with the SEC Network and ESPN. But so I think he does. And I was trying to think, can I come up with 5 replacements? Because Florida is going to make this a national opening. They're gonna advertise it and everything. That's required of them as a state school. And so they're going to have to, like with anything. My wife just changed jobs, actually from one Florida job to another Florida job. But they had to advertise the second job before they could hire. And that happens with that kind of a situation. But the other ones I thought about, Florida could go totally, like I hope, and again, I am always trying to tell Florida how they should handle their business when we all know that I don't know diddly poo compared to everybody else. You know, the people that are sitting around talking about it know what's going on. We're getting it from sources. We're getting it from this guy. But I'm just telling you here, look, the Ring of Honor was my idea. Nobody will give me a credit for it, but it was my idea. I came up with it. I wrote about it. I said who the first 4 people in should be, and that was the first 4 people. So don't tell me my ideas aren't any good. But the point being, Florida's going to advertise this thing nationally. I don't want to see them bring in somebody who doesn't have any ties to the University of Florida. You can say, look, it's okay as a football coach. Billy Napier knows what happened at Florida. He followed Florida, but he certainly it would not be equipped to do the play-by-play for Florida. I just think you got to have a sense of history for this university. But Again, Mick didn't. He didn't have any sense. He was from Dayton. He was doing Dayton games. So, I mean, he learned on the job. And again, he went through the greatest run in the history of Florida. It was obviously during his time. But what if Florida went way off the grid and wanted to hire like Laura Rutledge, Aaron Andrews, somebody like that, be the first SEC school to have a woman to be their play-by-play announcer? Well, both of them are probably making way too much money. But, these are, like another name I thought about, Chris Collinsworth. I'm like, oh, he'd be great at it. And I go, wait a minute. He's not done play-by-play, and he's making $1 billion a year working for networks. He's not interested in that, and he doesn't even need the money. He's got a ton of stuff going on. So, look, I will tell you that if I was going to bet, I would bet that one of those three guys will get the job. I think certainly Jeff is prepared for it, has done a good job. You guys all know just one of my best friends in the world. But I remember when Mick got the job and Larry Vittel was, I think, finished second, maybe, was definitely a serious candidate. And I remember one of our guys came to me and said, I want to write a column about how he should have gotten the job instead of this other guy. And his point was a good one, but I said, no, because you're too good of friends with him. You can't write that column. So if Jeff got it, if Batesy got it, if Mike Morgan got it, okay. If somebody from, Pocatello, Idaho gets it, I'm probably not going to be real happy. But I'm not trying to tell them what to do. All right, number 2 is this. And again, because we're taping this on Thursday, it's kind of weird because by Friday at 2:00, when maybe you're watching this, you're going to go, now all that stuff's already been talked about. It's all changed. But this Saban Jimbo thing was just fascinating over the last 2 days. Now, again, Saban, and I'll talk to Coach Spurrier about this in a little bit, but when you're speaking to booster clubs, or in this case, he was speaking to a bunch of businessmen, look, he's trying to get money out of them. It's no different than when Billy Napier speaks to all these Gator clubs or the Gainesville Quarterback Club. And I can't tell you specifically what he said because that's what happens in the club stays in the club. But he was talking a lot about NIL and how much he wants people to help out. Everybody does. Every coach does. But Saban turned it personal, attacked Deion Sanders, attacked Jimbo Fisher, said he bought his entire class. And look, if they offered inducements to players who had not were not on campus, that is against the rules, I think. Who knows what the rules are anymore? But so Saban fires at these guys hard. Deion issues a Twitter response, and he says he's going to say something later, and he probably already has by the time you listen to this, saying these are lies and everything. And then Jimbo actually has a press conference at 10 o'clock. He calls a 10 a.m. press conference. Those hacks are like, all right, well, this should be good. It was better than good. It was unbelievable what he was saying. And he said basically, we're done. He called. I didn't take his call. We're done. Some people think they're God. He thinks he walks on water. Just personal attack on Nick Saban. So is that going to make Saban more grouchy or less grouchy? I like grouchy Nick Saban, and he's grouchy right now. So I wonder if this is Nick Saban. There's a lot of people. You heard Cole Kubelik on this show say it. A lot of people believe that Saban's done after this year, that he's ready to get out of this thing because of the NIL, and that maybe this was a parting shot. Or it could be that he's just mad, and he's trying to get the alumni and the boosters and the people, the businessmen, fired up so he can reach into their pockets and get more money, so he can get more players. Look, Bryce Young had a huge deal, $1 million deal at Alabama last year, but he was already on campus. That's what you're allowed to do. So I'm not even sure what the rules are anymore, but we'll see how that goes going forward. But man, it's spicy. And I can't imagine what Destin's going to be like, because they're both going to be in the same room. Pretty sure they aren't going to be in the same room at media day. I think they're different days. But in Destin, there's a coaches meeting. That'll be interesting. They may have a cage match, like a steel cage match, like that. All right. Next up on the Friday Fivesome, NCAA divisions. We found that they did go away, which we talked about before that they were going to go away. But again, nobody's ordering you to get rid of divisions. They're saying you don't have to have them to have a conference championship game, which is what Roy Kramer many years ago, as we know, came up with the idea, because he said, hey, if you have divisions, you can play another game. You can play a conference championship game. We can make a fortune. Of course, 92 being the first one with Florida and Alabama, it almost backfired on him. But nobody's saying you can't have divisions. They're just saying you don't have to, and you can still play a championship game. Already the Pac-12 came out and said, like within 5 minutes, it was like they were on a transfer portal deal. 5 minutes later, they come out and they say, "Oh yeah, we're definitely getting rid of divisions, but we're going to schedule with we have to keep our schedule with divisions in mind," and that's going to be the interesting thing going forward, is what happens with a lot of these divisions. When if the SEC gets rid of divisions, where's Florida going to end up in the portal? I'm not portal, in the scheduling. And I tell you what I think is true, and we'll see about this. Everybody's wants parity in college football, right? Everybody talks about it. Nick Saban talked about it the other day when he wasn't mad, or maybe he was mad that day too. But parity is only going to get worse if you only let the best teams into the first round of the playoffs, which are the conference championship games. Now, not everybody's conference championship game has any effect on the playoffs, but that really is the first round of the playoffs. Alabama playing Georgia. Alabama had to win that game to get in. I think they did. Georgia might not have had to, but whatever. That's not why Georgia lost. But usually the winner of that game, and the winner of most of the conference championships, certainly the Big Ten, Big 12, many times, goes to the championship. My point being, you can't have a 9-4 team all of a sudden go and get, or 8-4 team win the championship to go 9-4, and that's a great deal for them. That's not going to happen anymore. The teams that are right, 1 and 2 are going to play. Am I making any sense on this? My point is, I think this actually is going to hurt any chances at parity more than it's certainly not going to help it. That's the bottom line. And if we really want parity, this is not the move to make. But I know there are a lot of people that believe this is the way to go. I'm just fascinated to see what Florida's schedule, how it all works out down the road. Now, 2015, Oklahoma and Texas join, and that'll be interesting. But what they end up doing, do they do those pods? Now, we're all convinced that when they first announced they didn't really announce it. It was a story broken by the Houston Chronicle, I believe. And when that came out, within minutes, the SEC network had these pods up, and we're assuming, well, they were told, here's what we're doing. Here's what they're going to look like. When this story breaks, you'll be equipped. We're all convinced of that. We don't know if it's true or not. We're still convinced. So we're assuming there'll be those pods, but we'll see. We'll see what it ends up being. Some rivalries go away. Florida LSU will probably go away, and we'll see what happens. All right, baseball. Next up, we got to talk about that, because obviously when you have a walk-off like Florida had on Tuesday night, it was a great moment. They celebrated like they just won the College World Series. But when you beat your rival in the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs on a bomb, I got no problem with celebrating like that. It's okay. Certainly, the good thing about watching the game on TV is if it had been the other way around and it was at FSU and they'd won on that way, I just click it off. But no, I just left it on. Just kept watching it. So that was good. And right now, D1 baseball, which has a huge impact on the selection committee, believe me. D1 baseball is the site to go to if you're a baseball geek, and certainly the job they do, I consider that's the only rankings I consider. But in terms of the projected field, I also consider it there. They've got Florida as a 2 seed in Miami, which Florida does not want to go to Miami necessarily, but they know how to win there. They already have this year. It does seem a little silly for a 2 seed to be playing in a place they've already played, and then they've got them going to Arkansas, which would not be good. So, look, they're not going to be a 1. I don't think, and maybe if they could, and again, you're watching this on Friday, you already know what happened Thursday night. Apologize for that. Trying to get off on vacation. I think we all understand that story now. So we'll see what happens this weekend with South Carolina and where Florida ends up, because then they still have the SEC tournament, and that's going to be interesting in its own self. It's going to be weird next week, because usually this is a week too that I would be hustling all weekend or all week in the days of being a sports writer, where you would have what do you cover? Do you go to the softball regional or the baseball 3 games that are really important? It was always kind of fun. That's one thing I've always loved about being a sports writer in Gainesville. This year I'm going on vacation, but how many times have I said that? 3 times? I think 4. Okay. I think I need it very much. And finally, last thing on the Fearsome Fivesome softball playing Friday night, so I can talk about it. Canisius, the Golden Griffins, coming to town. PD, the Golden Griffin, I don't think their mascot will be with them. I know this because Jeff and I talked about it on the radio yesterday. And look, we'll see. Well, look, Georgia Tech and Wisconsin are both good. I talked about this last week. This is not a field where a lot of people hit homers. I gave you the stat on Monday that there are 2 teams in the NCAA in college softball that have more homers than everybody in the 4-team field here. It's not going to be a lot of home runs. And Florida has been that way all year. Canisius, I think, has 16 or something. So it'll be interesting to see how Florida does, and can they get out of this regional and go to the super regional? If it ends up being at Virginia Tech, okay. I would consider that a successful season. And there has not been that many times when I've said that. When I said, hey, you just get to the super regionals, it'll be a successful season. Usually it's get to the College World Series or win the College World Series, as obviously they did back-to-back years. So that is our Friday Fivesome. It's the Fearsome Fivesome. But now I'm calling it the Friday Fivesome, even though we're taping it on Thursday. On Friday, but we tape on Thursday. And we also do it on Mondays. All right, so that'll do it for the Fearsome Fivesome on Another Dooley Noted Podcast, presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. We'll be back with Coach Spurrier, who is also sponsored by Meldon Law, because they just don't back down on anything, including being a great community sponsor for a lot of different things. We appreciate Meldon Law very much. We'll be right back with Coach Spurrier here on Another Dooley Noted Podcast. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Dooley Noted Podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it. Another Duly Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Tebow Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Fight Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Okay, welcome back to another Dooley Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. And, of course, Meldon Law, also the sponsor of our weekly visits with Coach Spurrier. We're going to try to get back to the Monday schedule not next week, but the following week. I'm going on vacation, so I'm going to try to enjoy it over in your town, St. Augustine.
St. Augustine, Crescent Beach. Yeah, I might go over there a day or two this weekend. Yeah. We hadn't been over in a month, probably.
Yeah.
But anyway, I guess the news of the day is Mick Hubert has announced his retirement as the voice of the Gators. And I'm going to tell you what, he may be the best ever.
Well, the funny thing is he is, it kind of came out of nowhere, even though it's not surprising at 68 that he would retire. It was, I told him, I sent him a text. I go, hopefully your retirement's better than mine because I'm still working.
Well, at least you got something to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, he called me today. And I said, what are you going to do? And he said, I'm going to Sarasota. He's going to move to Sarasota. And that's about all he said. And live there. But he just felt like 33 years here was long enough. And but I hope he'll do something else. He's too young. He's got too much talent to do nothing. But Mick was certainly, in my opinion, our best announcer for all the Gator sports. And his famous "Oh my, oh my" will go on in history here at University of Florida.
So it's kind of funny that he came right when you did. And
he was a year before. Actually.
Well, yeah, he got here in '89. Yeah, but then he he got to do that, then go through the Billy years, the Urban years. It was pretty cool for him to be able to do all that.
He's been here for all the football and basketball championships. I think. Yeah, certainly.
But what was it like when you first? Do you remember meeting him for the first time?
Oh, yeah, I guess. But big deal, just nice guy and so forth. I didn't pay a lot of attention who the radios guys were. I know the guy at Duke was a wonderful guy, Bob Harris.
Yeah.
And most of those guys are really nice guys. They really are. If you're not a nice guy, you don't last very long. They'll run you out. So Mick, a wonderful guy, he and his wife, and 33 years, the same job. You got to have a wonderful personality and extremely well liked.
Yeah, so it's just because they're doing it for another team doesn't mean they can't be very well liked. And in fact, one of my favorite people in the world was Larry Munson because he did the Jacksonville Bulls games in the USFL in addition to doing Georgia, and we would have great conversations. So we had that big news today, and I did talk about it a little bit earlier about who might replace him, but who knows who it is. That's the university's job to figure that out. But I was thinking about this today because. And somebody referenced it today on one of those talk shows. You invented the term "talking season," okay? And it became a big. That's what everybody says now. Everybody says it, and somebody referenced it today. Like the HBC said, this is talking season. Well, we've never seen talking like we saw over the last 2 days with Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher going at it. Nick Saban saying Jimbo bought his entire recruiting class. But again, he was speaking to a group of businessmen, and you know how it is when you're talking to Gator clubs or anything like that. You don't know if people are going to report on it. So I don't know. Or maybe he was trying to take a shot, and then Jimbo comes back today and says, "We're done. I'm not speaking to him anymore." So it'll be an interesting destiny, won't it?
Well, it's perfectly legal to buy your recruiting class. So I don't know why Jimbo's upset if he said something that's true.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be true, isn't it? That
Well, you're
all
not
the
supposed to
NIL
give them the money or make the deal until they're on campus, and that's what Saban is accusing him of is making a deal before you got on campus, and he's saying no, that didn't happen at all.
Okay.
The guy from Tennessee getting $8 million, but
Yeah, it'll blow away. But anyway, Jimbo is ready to try to make some noise. You know, they've not come close to winning a division that I know of since he's been there. So they are not close to winning an SEC. But they love him there. I tell you what, he was the highest paid guy in the nation for a long time. I don't know who is now, but he's up there.
Well, Ryan. Well, he may still be because Ryan Day just got a deal that's like $9.5 million a year.
Yeah.
And you never know because you have different things to it. But when you would go to those, and Destin meetings are coming up. I mean, I know you went in there one time with an idea of calling out Alabama in the SEC meetings because there were some things going on with them.
Well, what happened? The coach, DuBose, recommended a car dealer to a recruit. He did not buy the car for the recruit. The recruit just went and got a good deal. I don't know what the deal was. So I just asked, if this is permissible, then we got to start doing it because we don't do that. We're told, oh, no, you can't do that. Of course, after Charlie Pell and that regime, I mean, we couldn't do anything. We couldn't give a guy a free Gatorade unless it went through the athletic department or something.
Yeah.
But, so I just raised that question. And, of course, the AD said, yeah, we're right in there. And the commissioners, nobody knew if it was legal or not legal. Well, he's one of our dealers. Call him up.
Yeah.
But I don't even know what we decided. I just was asking if that's permissible. We all need to do it. So it wasn't that big a deal.
What can you imagine? I mean, have you ever thought about what it'd be like for you with dealing with this NIL and the roster management that everybody's talking about? I mean, roster management's it's hard to do with the transfer portal and NIL.
Yeah, you just do the best you can. Steve Jr.'s over at Mississippi State, and they're not going to get into the big bidding for these superstar high school guys, and not most schools aren't. I mean, they may, when they get on campus, they may have a deal they can make, I don't know, 10, 15,000 or 20, I don't know. They'll do a little bit of it, but they're not getting into bidding wars with Texas A&M and Alabama and Georgia and those guys. So it's something you have to deal with, and they understand it. And half of their recruiting is the transfer portal. So we don't need to sign 20 high school kids. And they'll sign about 10, 12, and maybe 10, 12 out of the portal. Yeah,
absolutely. You mentioned you and I were talking off the air about the baseball game. I was wondering, do you ever have a walk-off hit in your life as because you were a great baseball player at Science Hill, and but do you remember ever having a walk-off where I know you didn't celebrate like they did Tuesday night.
Well, in Little League I may have one time, but with the fence right there. But the ballpark we played at, those fences were way back there. Nobody hardly ever hit one out where we played. But I wasn't a home run hitter anyway. But that was. I tell you what, he hit that ball hard too, didn't he? I heard him talk later. He said, I knew that slider was coming, so I geared up for it, and he caught it right on the money.
Yeah, that's one thing I talked about too yesterday on the radio is, everybody's trying to hit a fastball when nobody's throwing a fastball. And everybody's swinging so hard and they're timing it, but they're just throwing balls in the dirt. And finally, one guy says, look, I'm going to look for that curveball.
I tell you what, that left-handed pitcher that FSU was firing, he was striking everybody out.
I know.
And then I guess he had a walk or two. And fortunately, they took him out for whatever reason. And we were able to get a run or two there at the end.
Yeah, they've got the best pitching staff in America, according to ERA, so they're really good.
And they got a player that transferred from Florida.
Yep, Carry on. They got a big hit for him, actually tied the game.
Yeah, it's the first time I've ever heard of that, so that was interesting.
Yeah, you got one that transferred from FSU.
We do?
You did.
We did?
He was a DB. God, I can't think of his name now. Was it Van Es Gooch? Did he go from FSU to Florida?
Well, running back. Yeah, he was a running back.
Running back, yeah.
Uh-huh. He may have.
Yeah, I think he was.
He may have stopped off there and then went back home or something. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I guess we did.
Yeah, not many though. You don't see that very often. By the way, Coach Spurrier, I know you've got something new for the museum here. With this hat you found.
Yeah, I tell you what. Well, I don't know how big news this is, but
Oh,
I found it the other day because my friend Chip Precioso has a place there in Columbia, and Spurrier's Tavern. This guy, he is my great granddad. 1788, he owned a tavern in Anne Arundel County, Maryland.
Wow.
Halfway between Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. And so he had a tavern, a sort of boarding house. George Washington stayed there in between his trips back and forth. And one year, his horse actually died at Spurrier's Tavern. That's sort of in the history books up there.
Not in the tavern, but at the tavern.
At the tavern, at the stable there somewhere. But anyway, we had a tavern, the Spurrier boy did. Rosin, R-E-Z-I-N, Rosin Spurrier owned the tavern there. And so anyway, my friend had that hat made up, 1788. So that goes back a few years.
It does. That's even before I was born, which is hard to believe that could exist, but that's cool. And that's the thing. The great thing about this is it is a museum. It's a restaurant first, but it's still a museum. And that I think people come in here, and I watch them the first time they walk in, and they don't want to sit down. They're just walking around looking at everything.
Yeah, but we do have quite a bit of stuff here, and always adding a little bit here and there also.
Yep. All right, so let's talk about. We can't talk too much about the PGA because we're taping this a day early, but what little I saw of it, Tiger's struggling, and you can tell he's still limping pretty badly. But have you ever played Southern Hills? Because I know you played just.
I think
about
I played
everything.
it. A long time ago. I think I played it one day. I played with Bobby Stoops when he was coaching at Oklahoma. He still plays there occasionally.
Does he?
He tells me, yeah. Tulsa's not too far from Norman, so Bobby's played about all the great courses in Oklahoma. So I think I played with him one day there.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to the weekend.
Yeah.
And there's so much going on this weekend with softball, and I know you're into softball, and they got their regional at home, and Florida big baseball series against the Gamecocks. Mm-hmm. So I know you're rooting for Florida, but you may have some friends out there from South Carolina.
Oh, I don't think I know anybody on the baseball team. They get a new coach about every 3 years. It seems like in baseball since Ray Tanner, who's the AD,
it was great. Yeah.
Left, and of course he won back-to-back national championships. Ray Tanner did.
He did.
So baseball, they love it at South Carolina. They really do. But their team this year has struggled a bit.
Yep, and we'll see what happens there. Also, I have a great trivia question for you. You may know the answer to this. Florida has won, because I was looking through some stats, and Florida has won the individual NCAA championship twice. 2 players have done it. Do you know who they are?
In what sport?
In golf. I'm sorry, men's golf.
Oh, the individual?
Yeah.
I would guess Steve Melnick was one.
He was not, but you were in school when one of them did it.
I was in school. Bob Murphy.
That's right.
Bob Murphy. Had to be Murph, yeah.
Did you ever play with him?
Yeah, I think I did maybe one day or so out at the university course. Yeah, he was hit that little cut ball straight, always straight. And Conrad Railing, of course, was the golf coach back in those days. So, in fact, he got me my first set of clubs.
Is that right?
That might have been illegal, but he did. He said, here's a set of Wilson staffs you can use for a while. Maybe it's okay if I just used them and turned them back in later.
Well, the other one's Nick Gillum. Nick Gillum, who...
That's right, he did.
Yeah, he won it. I remember that was a big deal around here. It certainly was interesting. So we talked a little bit last time you were here about the divisions going away, and now it's official that they're going to go away in college football. I don't know. I kind of liked divisions, but I also understand you want your 2 best teams playing for the championship. Mm-hmm. And that's where everybody seems to be heading.
Yeah, it does make sense. The 2 best teams, the Big 12, that's the way they've done it because they all play each other. So they've got the 2 best records go at it. Amazingly, they haven't had a complete tie for first or second place. So they have a way to work it out.
Yeah. In fact, the Pac-12 has already come out and said, we're going to do it. We're going to get rid of divisions, but we have to schedule with divisions for now because we've already made the schedules out. So it's kind of interesting there. We'll see what the SEC does. I'm curious to see where they go with it. I think they'll probably – we talk about all the pods and all the possibilities of what they're going to do. But, one thing that's probably going to go away is that annual Florida LSU game once Texas and Oklahoma come over. That game will probably go away, which has become an intense rivalry.
Well, maybe we can pick up Auburn. Florida, Auburn, used to be just a notch below Georgia. Florida, Georgia was always the biggest conference game. And then Auburn was the second biggest, I think. And even though we played LSU every year, we used to play Mississippi State every year.
I know.
For some reason.
And sometimes didn't you play in Jackson one year?
Jackson, yes, we did play Jackson, Mississippi.
Yeah.
Definitely. Night game. Grubby Law, Bob Law kicked the field goal. We beat him 16-13 that night.
That's right. Yep.
1964, I think it was.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, rivalries change. Just like when Auburn was dropped off of Florida's schedule, which we're like, wait a minute, Florida's closest opponent is Auburn. That's the easiest trip they can make. But they survived it. I mean, they still play them occasionally. But they do need to do something. When Georgia's never been to Texas A&M, think about that. Never played one game there. Somebody's screwed up the scheduling. They got to do a better job of that.
Yeah, it's always going to be discrepancies in the schedule, no matter what. Some people have it a little easier than others. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. You just have to go play what you got. All right, you got anything else for us, Coach?
Oh, not too much. Just the other sports. Our men's tennis team, they're still in the hunt to win it all. I think they won the SEC and so forth. And our lady lacrosse team won their conference championship.
They're playing right now, yeah.
Yeah, they're won the conference again for about 10 or 11 years in a row, something like that. So our sports during this time of year have done very well.
They have. We got to get them going good in the other ones.
Yeah, Mouse Holloway still got his track women, I think, won the SEC.
That's right.
And so they're all doing well.
Yeah, they are doing well. And, and we say goodbye to Mick Hubert. I mean, hopefully we'll see him again. And I know they're going to bring him back for a football game and honor him and probably give him a jersey.
Yeah, I hope to see him at the baseball game tonight. We play South Carolina, I think, 7 o'clock.
Right.
So, yeah, I hope to get by there and give Mick a nice hug and say, man, we've loved having you here. But he is a class man. He really is a good one.
Well, when they do give him the award, they should bring Chris Doring down there because that's what made him famous. That started everything. Doring's got a touchdown.
I tell you what's funny. My first year back here in 16 or 17, we had a reunion of all the guys I coached. So we're down at Daytona Beach. And, all right, we're going to have a little touch game here. Danny's down there and all these guys.
I was there, yeah.
And so he sends Doring deep. You know how it gets a little competitive. We were supposed to just walk and tag off, And so Doring goes deep, and Danny hit him right on the money. He dropped the ball. And one of the guys said, Chris, if you'd have dropped that ball against Kentucky, where would we all be today? Because if we don't win that game, we don't win the SEC.
No.
We had another loss in there. And you can stand one loss. And that year, by beating Kentucky, we won the SEC, won the Sugar Bowl for the first time ever. Terry Dean and Willie Jackson had tremendous games.
Lawrence Wright, too. Remember that return?
Wright had some big plays. Yeah, defense was really good, especially against Alabama. They got 13, and then West Virginia only got 7 against us. So, but Doring's got a touchdown. I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad he dropped it on the beach there at Daytona Beach instead of up there at Commonwealth Stadium. That's for sure.
You talk about how competitive he is. They remember when they had the swamp shooters and they would tour around and play. They were playing a game at PK, and Kerwin was kind of running, and he came over to me. He goes, because I'm in flip flops. I'm just writing something about it, and he goes, just step on the court. It's like 10 seconds left to go in the game. I'll shoot you a pass. You shoot a 3. So I said, all right. So I step on the court, get the ball, go shoot it. Doring comes out of nowhere and slams it into the stands. I go, Chris, come on.
Today's his birthday.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's 49 today. The guy at Sirius XM, where he does his radio show, called me and So we're going to call in. And so I wished him happy birthday. And the guy said, what do you think about Chris is thinking about playing in a football league over in Europe? I don't know if you've heard about that.
No, I haven't.
6 or 8 games, something like that. He said, you think he should do it? And I said, that's up to Chris, not me. But I know one thing, he's in good enough shape to do it.
Well,
he's a workout fanatic. And so he may go over there this summer and play some real tackle football at age 49. Wow. How about that?
I tell you, you know who else is like that? Willie Jackson. When I saw Willie Jackson recently, unbelievable. He looked like he could still play.
Yeah.
All right. We appreciate Coach Spurrier, and he'll be back on a regular schedule every Monday starting not this next week, but the following week. Brought to you, as always, by Meldon Law, and they bring him to you all the time. That's why we wear the Meldon Law Gator shirts here. So we appreciate him being in here. We'll be right back with all the fun things we do here in the third segment with Leonardo's and Millhopper Quick Picks, Hesser and Kipke Games of the Weekend, Adam Dribko Gator of the Week, Hand Law 3 Things, and this, that, and the other. We got all those things to get to right after we take this break here on Another Dooley Noted Podcast. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Dooley Noted Podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Dribko To Go. What would give you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where, everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam Dribko To Go. Come on down and enjoy it. Another Duly Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life. And the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
We are here at the University of Florida, where Albert and Alberta are competing in the Gator penalty shootout. Albert is ready to stop the shot at all costs. What a disaster! Luckily, Meldon Law is the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. If you have suffered any injury, do not worry, because Meldon Law is going to help you with your recovery. Meldon Law doesn't back down until they reach their goal.
All right, welcome back to another Duly Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Let's get to our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks. Got a lot of qualifiers. In fact, we've got 2 or 3 people that have qualified 3 times. You guys are doing great on this segment. So I tell you what, when I get back and we do the show Friday, let's go ahead and do another drawing. Get a Leonardo's at Millhopper $25 gift certificate and some other merchandise. I know nobody has ever said, I don't like what I got. I love everything I got. So everybody's been really happy with that. So we'll go ahead and pull another one on next Friday. All right, it's very simple. This is your last chance to qualify. Florida or South Carolina on Saturday. It's an either or. If it gets rained out, you're all in. Well, just type in rain. So that is our Leonardo's at Millhopper quick picks. Our Hesser and Kipke games of the weekend. And, man, it is going to be a fun weekend. Yeah, it's interesting going when you go stay somewhere. You don't know what their cable is going to be like. I'm a little concerned about that. But our Hesser and Kipke games of the weekend. Oh, I'm waiting on the thing. What is it called? What do you call it? No, the writing that's on live read. But it's taped. Does that count? Okay. Hesser and Kipke games of the weekend. They're brought to you by Hesser and Kipke, a law firm based in Hale Plantation, specializing in employment, workers' comp, and family law. Visit their website at www.hklawfl.com or call Ken and Jennifer at 352-339-9920. We appreciate Hesser and Kipke for being a double sponsor. Here are the games of the weekend. It's going to be crazy. And again, I'm starting with Friday's games. Friday's baseball is at 7. Saturday at 2. If you have the plus, you can get some of the games. Some of the games you can get without the plus. But it's a big weekend for Florida. They need to take 2 out of 3. It's the same thing I've been saying. And this is what we said after that getting swept by Tennessee. They need to go 2 out of 3 minimum, and they've done better than that at times. So we'll see what Florida is able to do against South Carolina. Softball is going to be 4:30-ish Friday. Today, if you're watching it on Friday, depends on the first game, how long it goes, and we all know what happened last week. And so that'll be 4:30-ish. If they win, they play the early game on Saturday. If they lose, they play at 5:30. I think the early game's at 3, and then if they, you know how it goes, a double elimination. And then if they get to Sunday, they would play at noon. And if they lose or if they win, I mean, it depends on whether they play a second game, would be at right afterwards, like 2:30. So that's what softball is looking at. Maybe the heat will affect Canisius. The PGA, I wanted to give you that TV schedule, and can't wait to watch it this weekend. 2 to 8 on Friday, 8 meaning whenever it's over, but 2 to 8 on Friday, 10 to 7 on Saturday. So you've got 9 hours of watching golf if you want to. I can do that. Plus, it's supposed to rain in St. Augustine on Saturday, so I'll watch that. And then 10 to 7 also on Sunday. So that'll be a great weekend for watching golf. If you like it, if you like majors, Rory McIlroy off to a great start. I mean, we'll see what happens there, but I'm looking forward to it. Also, the NBA, Dallas Golden State, Friday at 9, and then Sunday at 9. And then Miami-Boston, their game 3 will be Saturday at 8:30. So that's what you watch at night. It's set up beautifully, and again, this may be our last great weekend for a while. I don't know, when we get into that time when you have softball and baseball, and the College World Series, and there's other stuff going on, the NBA Finals. I remember being in Oklahoma City for the NBA Finals a lot of the time, not covering Oklahoma City, but covering Florida. But the NBA Finals would be on TV. That would be what you watched at night when you weren't covering games. Does any of that make any sense? No. All right, so I'm starting to not make sense, so we'll get through this. Let us go to our Adams Ribco to go. Gator of the week, and again, it's Gators of the week because I could not choose. How can you not give Sterling Thompson Gator of the week after he hit that walk-off homer to beat FSU, give them the season series, maybe at least give them a chance to be a host for a regional. I mean, Florida is now 13 in RPI, and so he's got to be there. But I got to go also with Fred Biondi. I mean, Florida got into the NCAA finals easily. They didn't have a lot of pressure on them, but they got into it. I mean, there's always pressure on everybody, but he shot 5 under, finished second in the regional down in Palm Beach, and that's worthy of being Gator of the week. So there's Gators of the week this week. That's the way we're going to do it. That's what I said. And we appreciate them very much. Appreciate Adams Ribco to go, too, very much. Very much. In fact, I may have some tonight. All right. It is time for Hand Law 3 Things. I was talking to Chris Hand today about, because we were going back and forth about the Mick Hubert retirement, and he was talking about how important. And I got to save something here for the end that I know I'm going to do, and then I'll mention something else about it. Anyway. All right, Hand Law 3 Things. I mentioned men's golf. There's a lot going on. Coach mentioned men's tennis. It's tonight against Virginia. Obviously, tomorrow, when you're listening to this, you may already know the result. You probably do. And, of course, lacrosse, I think, is playing right about now. So we'll cover all that next week, next Friday. But certainly shooting 4 under in the last round is a clutch performance. In fact, the last two rounds, they shot 4 under each round. And that's a good sign. This is a team that's got some really good players. And the thing with JC's teams is they've always had good players, but they haven't had enough. And maybe they have enough this year to make some noise. There's some really good teams. Vanderbilt's ridiculously good. And we'll see how that goes. Also, Hand Law 3 Things. Here's an interesting thing. The 25-man limit for recruiting classes has been waived for the next 2 years. And a lot of this has to do with the transfer portal. And it has a little bit to do with COVID, but the transfer portal too, because coaches are having so much trouble managing their rosters and trying to figure it out. So they got rid of the 25-man limit. So you can sign, I think it's 32 now, 32 players. Somebody calling me, and I know why they're calling me. 32 players I think you can sign now. But it's still an 85 limit. But here's the point I want to make that nobody's making. Everybody keeps talking about the players and the players, are not going to be in the same opportunity. They're going to sign all these guys from the portal and not give high school guys an opportunity. Look, there are 85 scholarships for 130 teams each. I don't need a calculator. No, that's a lot. There are a lot of scholarship opportunities out there. The same number you had before. All this stuff that's changed. And look, it's a landscape is just crazy in college football right now. It's nuts. But all the change, you still have the same number of players on scholarship. So how is it taking anybody's opportunity away? If you want to argue that by letting guys go in the transfer portal over and over again, and they get that you maybe are screwing up with their education, yeah, that's a good point. I do like that point. I don't like it that it's happening, but it's a good point. So we'll see what happens there. And finally, on Hand Law 3 Things, it feels like Golden State Miami is just inevitable. And of course, tonight, Miami is playing Boston, which is tomorrow. It was yesterday night, and you already know the result of that game. But it does feel like it's inevitable. And man, it will be interesting if it does happen. But Golden State is just watching them play again last night. Nobody can score with them this year, it seems like. I mean, you can beat them every once in a while, but I don't see how a team's going to beat them in 4 games. And I'll be happy. I'm a big Steph Curry fan. So that is our Hand Law 3 Things. We appreciate Hand Law. And so let me get to our this, that, and the other, because this is Mick coming here in 1989. Mick Hubert, who retired today, or announced his retirement, coming here in 1989, replacing David Steele, another very good friend of mine, still friends with David. In fact, he got me tickets to a Magic game on my second date with my wife. First date was Steve Spurrier's 50th birthday party. So it's all connected. So that's this. Mick replaces him, and when he does replace him, people aren't even sure what his name is. He's told this story a million times. It was Mac Huber, Mick Hibachi. I mean, nobody knew nobody could get his name right. And we were all kind of like, I don't even know who this guy is. But at the time, it didn't seem like it was that big a deal. Okay, Florida got a new guy. They'd already been, Otis Boggs had been a big deal when he retired. David Steele was very, very good and still is very, very good at his job. But he didn't do it that long. And so another guy comes in, you're like, okay, let's just see how this guy, but nobody was really worried. That was Dorian's got a touchdown. That changed everything for Mick. And he'll tell you that. He's told me that many times. When that became a big deal because the next day everybody's talking about it, and they're showing it on NFL shows. This play happened. Listen to this call by this guy, and he became legendary because of that. Not only that call, but of course, as he went through his career, doing all these great games, and you would always, after a big win, you would wait for. Now I don't want to say always. Nowadays, you can't wait to see what Mick's call is on Twitter. You go on Twitter and you wait for it. Oh, there it is. Somebody finally has the play matched up to Mick's call on radio. So that was that. The other is this. Maybe it's time for Mick Hubert should go in the Ring of Honor. Think about this, okay? Iconic, no doubt about it. I know that the rules don't allow it, but Scott Strickland has been, has said many times he's got no problem with changing the rules, that the rules are too restrictive. He agrees with me. They are too restrictive. But we'll see what happens. I'm not sure he can get in. They're going to honor him, I think, at a game this year. I think that's what they said in the release. And they'll give him a jersey and everything, and they'll probably give him a rocking chair or something like that, with like the usual things. But what about the Ring of Honor? Would that be ridiculous to you? When I mentioned this to Chris Hand from Hand Law, he seemed to believe that it was a good idea. He thought it was a really good idea. And he's a big Gator fan. So hey, I'm just let's just throw that out there, see if it sticks. It might not stick, but that's the way it works. So that is This, That, and the Other. And of course, This, That, and the Other is always brought to you by Ironwood Golf Course, by Ballyhoo Grill, and by Dar-Shakow Insurance. We appreciate them as our great sponsors. Dar-Shakow Insurance been with us a long time, as has Ironwood and Ballyhoo. I was just there. I had lunch with Steve Tannen, the great All-American. The stories he told us for I'm doing 2 chapters. They asked me to do it for Game of My Life, and you'll get a chance soon. It will be out after I write them. I got to write them still. And a lot of people love that book, Game of My Life. And so I did Steve Tannen and Major Wright. They're 2 DBs. So that'll be cool. All right, we got to get out of here. And I'm out. I mean, when I say I'm out, I am out, because that means I am going on vacation. Last time I say it today. Until Friday. Remember, no show Monday. Friday, we'll be back with you. Don't know who the guest is yet. I'm going to call somebody while I'm on vacation. Oh, I said it again. Sorry. All right, until next time, I am Pat Dooley on Another Dooley Noted Podcast, presented by Titan MRI, brought to you by the Meldon Law Gator Studios, saying I'm deep, I'm way back, and I am out of here.